All righty. Happy Monday, and excited to be back at home. I think we're by Saturday it'll be 4 weeks before since we played a home game. So certainly excited to get that for our kids, for our team, for our fans, for our families, really for everybody. It's homecoming, so for our alumni, it's just a special time. As I've said in the past, you know, college football is awesome, and homecoming weekend's one of those things that you just embrace and enjoy. And the fact that we got a 4:30 kickoff against a former Pac-12 foe and now a Big Ten competitor is pretty awesome. So excited about that, excited about the idea of getting back on our home stadium, home field, and ready to roll.
Do you remind your players that you have the second longest home win streak in the nation?
No, we haven't talked about that. We talk about how excited we are to play at home. We talked about, I think I mentioned to our team yesterday that in the Big Ten, I think it's a 76% win percentage at home right now of the 18 teams, and that there's a legitimate home field advantage across the country in the Big Ten, and hopefully we'll be able to embrace that.
Speaking of that home field advantage, you guys are unbeaten at home, winless on the road. What did you notice, aside from the obvious of travel and got to do logistical things, that maybe has resulted in not getting some results on the road, and what's the benefits of playing at home?
Yeah, I mean, the benefits of playing at home is routine. Your Thursday and your Friday routine, specifically the 48 hours closest to the game. The benefit at home is an incredible fan base. The benefit at home is an awesome student section. The benefit at home, a lot of our players get to see their parents that sometimes they don't get to see on a road game. And we're at Husky Stadium, which is a phenomenal place to play ball. You know, the road games are tough. Road games are tough for a lot of reasons. We have the road games that we've had thus far. We'll exclude the Apple Cup and that it's in Seattle, but the 3 road games we've had, the Rutgers, Indiana, and Iowa game, you know, those are 3 opponents that we have not played before. It's all new travel logistics, all new schemes, all new personnel that you're going against. It's West Coast, East Coast. I mean, a lot of those things have come into play. Overall, it's good teams, it's older teams, it's veteran teams, it's Big Ten teams. And on the same token, you know, we got to play better in those games. But I think that it was more than just the fact that it was a road game. But I certainly hope that we can play better at home than we have so far. And I hope that the next road trip we go on, we can play better on the road.
You said that you'd made some adjustments for the 9 a.m. kick from Iowa to Indiana. Just curious what you changed ahead of it and what you've learned from now having played 2 of those.
Yeah. What we did was on Wednesday against Iowa, we lifted. We moved the Thursday lift up to Wednesday. And against Indiana, we felt like we kind of overlifted them. We woke them up early, you know, 6 a.m. So we let them sleep in on Wednesday of the Indiana week. We did a little bit different on Friday when we were at the hotel. We gave them a little bit longer of a break rather than a 3-hour break between meetings. We did a 5.5-hour break in between meetings, and we made curfew a little bit earlier, bed check a little bit earlier. And I thought our guys were ready to go against Indiana, and we were a little fresher coming off of bye on top of that. So we had that squared away. But those were just the slight changes.
How do you feel Sewanee and Kaylee did at left tackle? Looks like they got about 29 snaps each. Just how do you feel that battle's going?
Yeah, I mean, they got to battle it out all week. This week again, we're playing with a lot of guys on the offensive line that have not had snaps in the past. You know, Enoch has had 2 starts in his career prior to coming here. Sewanee none, Kali none, Max McCree none. Hatchett had, I think, 1 or 2. and then it came off an ACL, Gardner, and then Drew had 6 the second half of last year at San Diego State. So the whole offensive line is really new, as we knew going into the season, and as I think as we look at the build and the trying to get the foundation laid of our offensive line, the bigger, strong guys that we have right now will benefit from a huge offseason. I think we have 14 of 16 or 13 of 16 that have eligibility left. That'll all be back. That'll all be bigger, stronger from January 3rd, participate in spring ball, which almost none of them did. I think Swanee's the only one that participated in spring ball on our offensive line. So the fact that we'll have all of that. But we'll continue, let Kali and Swanee compete, and we'll see what that looks like. And then when we get closer, we'll probably rotate them through. I don't think any of our offensive line right now, unfortunately, I would say are at 100% health that they could do the whole game. Drew, maybe, but he got a little bit of a foot sprain at the game in the fourth quarter. So I think the best way to protect our guys is to do the best we can to keep them fresh.
Coach, I'm sure your expectations at the beginning of the year, you had them. Where are you right now in terms of what you expected? Are you ahead in some areas, behind in some areas? Maybe give us a little bit of an idea.
Yeah, it's tough. That you really, the most unique part of this year was it was very hard to have expectations because none of these players really played together as a team. It wasn't a team that you were overly familiar with, that we were overly familiar with. We had, 10 out of 11 starters on offense came from different places or never started a game. Jonah Coleman was I think he only started once for us at Arizona, and he came in here, and Will Rogers was a starter and then not a starter at Mississippi State. And then the offensive line, none of those guys started. And the tight ends, Quentin Moore, never started, but we were counting a lot on him. And then we lost them the second quarter of the Weber game. And the receivers, Denzel and Giles, never started. Jeremiah started at Cal. And then defensively, we had a lot of guys that we didn't know in a system that we've never run in college. And I think that the expectations we'll look at the end of the year and see where we are as a team. But I certainly know that the foundation is being laid on how we want to play the game. The foundation, I love the fact that Jonah had 19 carries for 105 yards. I love the fact that our defense is number 1 in pass defense in the country. I love the fact that we're not turning the ball over on offense, that we're protecting the football. I think that there's so much more we can gain from experience. There's so much more in offseason will help us. The weight room, I love the fact that we invested a couple $1 million in a brand new weight room, and our guys can attack that come January 3rd. So where we are right now, we'll look back in 4 games from now and really see. But in the end, we just have to get better every week. And I think with our recruiting class, with the transfer portal, with another year in our system, with all the returning guys that we'll have, and the experiences that guys like Kamori House, Adam Muhammad, Jonah Coleman, Evie Pricesock, Swanee and Max and Hatchett and all the guys that have Decker to graph. I don't think any of us knew what Decker would do. So all that experience that these guys have had will help them in the future.
How important is it to get the 2 more wins and be bowl eligible?
It's always important because you get 15 more practices. As a coach, that's what you look for. How do you have opportunities to have more practice time with the guys? It's so important because it's an opportunity to celebrate a season. And that, going into this year with all the newness of our team, the fact that we can be together for another month is really special. That's what's important. It's important for seniors to have a chance to showcase their skills one more time. It's important for our fans to be able to go watch another football game. All of that's really important. I try to focus in on beating SC, but I would love nothing more than to celebrate something in December with a bowl game with our families and with our friends and with our team, and we're going to do everything we can to do that.
Considering how difficult kind of the end of your guys' schedule is with two top three teams, how important is it to get a win this week against the USC to make sure you guys get those extra practices in that time?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to win at home. It's important to beat a longtime Pac-12 foe. It's important to stop a 2-game skid. It's important to get better, and we're going to do everything we can to do that. We know we got a great challenge. It's important for them also, and I think you got both teams that are going to play desperate for a win and excited for that opportunity. And they're going to be two teams that are going to compete very hard. And we're going to have to see what that looks like this week. But it's, I told our team, don't predict the future. Don't try to figure out what's going to happen in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, in 1 week. Just figure out what's going to happen today. And then let's see how good we can play. And then let's see what Saturday brings.
First pick that got returned for the touchdown on Saturday. It kind of looked like just the whole thing got blown up from the inside. But the second one going to Denzel, what did you see on that?
Yeah, the first one was a total fluke play that, the center just hit the quarterback's arm and into the blitzer, and the blitzer, I mean, it was crazy. The second one was we left it a little bit inside. We were throwing a go ball. We had one-on-one coverage. It was 2nd and 8 on the 8-yard line. We felt like it was a good chance to get a one-on-one and let Denzel work. Quarterback couldn't really step up, kind of had a little A-gap pressure. Just hung it out a little bit too much inside. Denzel tried to make a play on it with one hand, and one hand hits the other, gets into the DB. I would love to see him turn and try to attack the ball and let the DB play through you and try to get a PI call, if nothing else. We tell our guys that you got to go from wide receiver to DB to make sure a ball doesn't get picked. And then, obviously, we tell the quarterback it's got to be outside the red line or sideline. And none of those things kind of worked in our favor. And that was an unfortunate play because it ended up resulting in a touchdown for them.
And then not necessarily in the red zone, but still not being able to finish drives, 30, 31-yard line, all that. Was there anything you saw during the bye, and we're hoping to see that you didn't see Saturday?
Yeah, I told the team, I said, we had 7 drives inside the 35-yard line and 17 points. And when you move the ball to that degree, that you're inside the 35-yard line 7 times in a game, you should feel good about the outcome. And we didn't. And we talked about different plays that occurred in those times and different, opportunities that we had there offensively that should have led to points, and it didn't. And we turned it over once. We turned it over on downs once on a 4th and 3 scramble. We turned it over. We took a sack once, and we had a 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1 that got stopped in the same series. And then the other 3 series we scored. So need to continue to get better there. And I told our defense, if we punt them back there because we choose not to go for it and we get them on the 2-yard line, now we got to get that 3 and out. That's the time you got to get that 3 and out to get them to punt it back. And instead, I think they got 40 yards and flipped the field on us.
You mentioned that Durfee has a toe injury that he's trying to deal with. Did he just get stepped on, or is it an AstroTurf type thing? Or
It's a turf toe. He does have turf toe in both toes. So I want to say it was the 3rd week of the season, but I'm not exactly positive that it happened on the left toe. And then I think in the 4th week of the season, it happened on the right toe, or I might be off a week. But so he was fighting the left toe, then the right toe. Then the left toe got better. The right toe didn't. Then we had to settle him down the right toe. Thought we were in a good spot. And then the left toe got aggravated. And then this game, we thought that both toes were okay. And then we had him taped up and suited up. And he went out to work out, and he couldn't explode off of his right foot. So we went back to a foot specialist today to take a look at it. And I don't have an update for you in terms of what Saturday will look like. But it's been a challenge for him. And it's unfortunate because, as we all know, he would certainly be very helpful in setting the edge and his toughness and his strength. And we'll have to evaluate. He's only played 2.5 games this year, so we'll have to see what that looks like in terms of another year if we need it.
You mentioned
Valdez
that.
come out of it.
He's okay. He'll be good to go. It was a stinger there at the end of the game. I think it was like the third to last play or something to that effect, but he'll be fine for the Saturday.
Where's Max stand? Max and his thumb.
Today he was going to see a hand specialist. So once we get the results there, the biggest issue for an offensive lineman is that if he's a D lineman, we could club it up. But as an offensive lineman, if you club it up, now he's going to not be able to use his hands at all. So we have to, because he would have to have it in a fist. And so we're right now working through how we can handle bracing it or casting it. But again, I would, unless something surprising comes out, I would guess it's probably another week that they can go without having to do that.
How do you correct some of the issues you guys have faced on third down this season? You guys were 3 of 11 at Indiana.
Yeah. Well, I would say, the 3rd and 1 was a disappointing play that, you've got to be better on 3rd and 1s. I'd start there. If you're better on 3rd and 1s, you get yourself to maybe 4 and 11, which then gets you a little closer. And then you got to convert one other play, right, to get to a 5. You want to be, let's call it, as close to 50% on 3rd down as you possibly could be. If you're 50% on 3rd down, you're in the top 25 in the country. And we're sitting there probably at like 38%, which is bottom third of the country. And that's where we got to really improve. How do you do that? It's all 11 plus the sideline, I guess I would say. Like, what plays are we calling to put them in the best possible position to succeed? How are we blocking? How are we picking up protections? Are we winning on the down and distance? Are we winning in the route, I should say? And, can we make a couple more plays after we catch the ball, rather than, get to a situation where it was a 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8 and we hit Denzel for 5 and now it's 4th and 3. Can we knife it and get the first down or some of those things? We've had a couple of unfortunate ones on 3rd down where, we dropped a snap on a 3rd down that I can remember. We've had a couple plays that we ended a half a yard short. We had Giles this past game on a 3rd and 6. We got 5, and then on 4th and 1, we went for it and got it. What does that count as, right? It's not a 3rd down conversion, but you're still on the field. But we were only 1 for 3 on 4th down. So I always look at them both. I say, all right, we were 4 for 16 or 5 for 17, whatever we were. We had them both together, and not good enough.
Obviously, you had no choice to go in the portal for a few offensive linemen. You mentioned you could have 14 guys back. I think you got 5 committed in this 25 class. Is that position in particular one that you really need to build through the high school ranks, or is it any different than
Yeah, I think this, it's a really limited group of portal offensive linemen that can come in and start. I mean, the competition for the few people that are going to, who's going in the portal? Non-starters of other teams, or if you have an elite starter that wants to go in the portal and see what it looks like, you'll compete for it with everybody in the country, which we'll have to do. I think that if you're going to build your O-line, you got to build it through high school. And you've got to build it through experience. And now we're sitting there in a spot where Packy Finau and, Hilkema and David and Hatchett and Swanee and all these guys are now going to be redshirt freshmen to become redshirt sophomores. We'll have these 5 newcomers coming in that'll be freshmen. We'll have the redshirt sophomores become juniors. And then if we can snag 1 or 2, great. But in the end, you don't really want to live like that. I'd much prefer a Max McCree for 12 months, 12 more months, have an off season with when you guys are at spring practice, you guys can say, now, you actually have an offensive line out there today and not just 7 players. And we can actually have between 15 and 20 guys competing and getting going. I think that, to me, will be the key. A healthy off season, knock on wood, with all of our young guys to see how much better they can get.
Start update.
When you lose a couple of games, Coach, fans are always clamoring to make changes, and the easiest one to make, they seem to think, is changing at the quarterback. And they've seen enough of DeMond Williams to be excited and know that he's probably the future. Where is he today compared to where he was at the beginning of the year? And if he needed to, how close is he ready to be stepping in right now?
Yeah, DeMond's improvement has been really good. for the last 8 weeks. Each week he's gotten better. Each week he's gotten more comfortable. When he goes in the game, he's more comfortable going in. You know, Damon's going to be ready to take this team over at some point in time. You know, I think that right now, Wills continues to give us the best chance. He's completed 73% of his passes. I certainly don't blame him for the first interception. That's about as a fluke can get. He's thrown 4 picks all year. Maybe you subtract 1, and we've turned it over a couple times with snaps. But we got to make plays around Will. We got to make bigger plays at the passing game. We got to hit the big ones, and we got to, you know, finish some balls down the field. We had a chance to throw a go route on the far sideline to Denzel. We didn't finish it. He threw a beautiful ball to Lecky at the end of the game to get us in scoring range. So right now, Will's done a really nice job. Damond is going to be special. Damond will be the face of Washington football, you know, moving forward next year. And but he's going to continue to get reps throughout this season like he has.
Broussard update?
Back yesterday in the building, back working out. We'll have to see. He's another foot that we have to keep an eye on to see if he can go. Thanks, guys.